Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I am with my friend Christian, who I met here at Rythmia, which is an awesome place for doing transformative work, really understanding yourself at a deeper level and making deep changes within. And Christian here is the transformational breath, what's the actual title?
Facilitator, I'd say, trainer.
Okay, and my first night here, I came here, the first night I came in on a Sunday. I remember I was waiting for Victor to come in, who many of you guys know Victor Oddo is, I came here with. And one of the first classes they had was this transformational breath workshop, which is at 5:30, so it was like an hour after I came in. I go into this workshop, I had no idea what to expect. I just thought, oh, it's just gonna be breathing, we're gonna be breathing deeply for like an hour. I thought it was gonna be really cool, but I didn't really expect or know what to expect coming from it. Now, when I did this, and I went through the process of us doing this breathing pattern for a certain period of time, I started to feel sensations in my body, and my hands started to really clamp up, and I started to feel some tension and energy get brought up that maybe was stored deep within me. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because, as on this channel, you know, I talk a lot about how our beliefs create our reality. Now with that, I believe comes certain patterns that create certain thought structures, that create certain things that happen in our life because of those patterns. So what I decided to do is bring on Christian, because he's an expert when it comes to transformational breath work, and he can share with us some tools and techniques through reprogramming our breath, reprogramming our beliefs to really attract and get what we want in life. And I think that he was telling me that he noticed some type of breathing pattern that I had, and how our personality sometimes is formed from our breathing patterns. There's certain traits that happen. So maybe you could share a little bit about that process, and then later on in the video we'll get more into the actual techniques that we can use that we can apply in our life today.
Sure, yeah.
Cool, so yeah, so this is Christian, everybody.
Hello, everybody. And so this wisdom comes from my, basically I've been a transformational breath facilitator and senior trainer for the last 10 years. And what Aaron's talking about is, first we do a process called the breath analysis, which is to look at the patterns of people's breathing, and that can tell us a lot about their ingrained beliefs, that, you know, the beliefs that you have set yourself up with. Mm-hmm. And Aaron here had the super achiever pattern, which as many of you may know from watching him and seeing how hard he works, the superachiever is just that, a hard worker, somebody who feels like they have to be on the go.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, you know, some of the liabilities to a superachiever is that it's difficult to delegate often.
Yeah.
If you don't do it yourself, it's not going to get done, is a mantra that often comes in the mind of the superachiever.
And is it for me breathing? I think that you said that I kind of use my back when I breathe.
Yeah, so the superachiever pattern tends to start in the mid belly, the power center. And you know, we can breathe in the belly, we can breathe in the chest, and along the way there, the superachiever tends to breathe right in the middle. That's where it starts. And,
wow. And
if it's a really exaggerated superachiever, they'll often be using their back to breathe.
That's so funny, because I do that all the time. I take in deep, it's perfectly in alignment with how I've been breathing, so I'm glad you're talking about it. It'll help me.
And what that indicates is that you're working too hard. That you're working harder than you need to be working.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with hard work. You
Yeah.
know, a superachiever has gotten you to where you are in the success of life. But, you know, if you're not careful, that can also lead to burnout.
Yeah,
right?
I can
and
see
so
that.
what we look at in the patterns is to say, yeah, you know, you're a guy who gets things done, but you actually are expending more energy than you actually need
Yeah.
to. And how that shows up is in the breathing. The only muscle we actually need to move when we're breathing is our diaphragm, this dome-shaped muscle that sits about here, just above the rib cage. And as you inhale, it contracts, you know, it just like a muscle, and allows you to draw air in. And when you exhale, it relaxes and pushes out air. Mm-hmm. This is really our breathing muscle. This is the only thing that really needs to be actively engaged when we're breathing. So if we're using our back, if we're using our chest, we're doing all these extra movements, we're just expending energy that's actually not helping us to get any more breath.
Wow.
So this is the idea behind you're working too hard. Mm-hmm. Now, to solve that problem, or to start to shift your beliefs in that yes, I can get things done, but I don't have to work so hard doing it. You can actually use the breath as a tool to help you recalibrate your beliefs. And how we do that is getting into a breath pattern that reinforces peace, reinforces ease and grace, reinforces a healthy interaction with life itself.
It's kind of like a prescription.
Exactly.
It's like a prescription to offset the way that I was being before, which is when you guys know on this channel, I talk about work hard, but I'm going to be looking more into this understanding of how we can use this to not have to believe we have to work so hard, and instead we can have intention and make things happen from a deeper, more peaceful state versus a got to get somewhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And these different patterns, I mean, that's just one pattern, the super achiever. Somebody who breathes in their chest but not in their belly is generally somebody who's got an open heart but tends to have a weaker will. And these kind of people are often easily taken advantage of because they're so giving, they're so loving, and yet though when somebody wants something from them, it's hard for them to say no or to stand up for themselves, and so they often get walked over. Vice versa, somebody might be breathing in their belly but not in their chest, and that's an indication of somebody who's emotionally guarded, emotionally shut down, but may have a very strong will and just kind of bowls over people because
like an armor around them, kind of protecting them,
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So these are the basic patterns, and there's many others in this whole art and science of the breath analysis.
So pretty much any type of those personalities or those belief structures that you may identify with, there's one major thing that we could probably do every day that would kind of be a prescription for all of us towards reprogramming our beliefs, starting to get back to the core of who we are. And I think that's something that you have a powerful technique for doing that.
Exactly. So it's basically the transformational breath technique and put into a little package we essentially call the 100 Breaths to Joy is essentially a daily prescription in helping you to create a breath pattern that realigns your beliefs to a healthy, wholesome, relaxed, free-flowing lifestyle. I like to say that as your breath flows, so your life flows. And if you can get into a fluid, dynamic breath pattern, that starts to rearrange your thought processes and your beliefs to feel that life is actually a flow. Life can move with ease and grace. It doesn't mean that you're not doing stuff. It doesn't mean that you don't have challenges but do you meet your challenges like, bam, smashing against a wall, or do you meet your challenges by kind of coming up and flowing around them, maybe like water?
Water, exactly. Yeah.
So
cool.
So did you want me to get into that?
Yes, if we could do that, I think it's something people will gain a ton of value from. So absolutely, let's get into it.
Excellent. Well, the 100 breaths is really very simple. Three main elements is inhaling fully, exhaling in a very relaxed manner, and keeping the breath connected and fluid, meaning we're not pausing between the breaths. So as we inhale, we're using that diaphragm, that dome-shaped muscle, and we're filling ourselves all the way up to the chest. Now, so we use our full respiratory capacity. Now, as we exhale, we're just letting go. We're just a relaxed sigh. And this is key for you.
Yes, I noticed that, because I was breathing out so strong. I was like, forcing it, just kind of like I might force some things in life to happen, you know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly. The more we control the breath, again, that's an indication of control in our lives.
Yeah.
And life is a delicate balance between how much effort we put into it and how much we let the greater forces of life guide. Exactly. So the exhale really helps us to let go of that control, let go. And the inhale is about that receiving. We're inhaling that fullness of life. We're just letting go, relaxing into it. And the circular connectedness of it helps keep us present to this present moment, which is really where life is happening. Life doesn't happen in the past. Life doesn't happen in the future, though we find ourselves often dwelling in either of these areas. Life is only happening in the present. And if you want to get anything done in life, you have to be present to your circumstances in the moment. And what we often do is end up going into the future, where we then are worried or anxious about what needs to get done or what still is on our plate, or we go into the past, where we tend to be in regret and shame about what we should have done or what we could have done or what we did and we shouldn't have done.
Right.
You know? So by keeping the breath circular and connected, we close the gaps of pause, which creates an escape route for our mind and keeps our mind in the present. As we continue to breathe, we just stay in the present, and that allows the presence, the greater energetic force that brought us into creation, to emerge. And that's probably the number one transformative element for shifting our beliefs, is just being in the presence of the presence.
Right. So that's the technique, is to breathe in, to let go, and to do it fluidly, and to do that for 100 breaths?
100 breaths, right. 100 breaths.
Wow.
1, 2, 3. All right. That's it. Just like that. In, out. Beautiful. In and out. And we're, 100 breaths, you can count to 100. 100 breaths takes about 5 minutes to do. So if you put on a timer or music that lasts for about 5 minutes, and when that's over, you know that you've done it. It's just that 5-minute session we'll start the mechanisms.
The reprogramming.
Yeah,
I can even feel it right now. We've done maybe 10, 15 breaths, and I can already feel that presence. And I just want to reiterate, like, I had no expectations of coming into this, hour and a half long breathing exercise, but when I came out of it, it was like everything was brighter. It was like I felt like I let go of a lot of emotion. My hands tensed it up a lot, and I was able to learn how to let go. I lost a lot of body awareness. It was almost like my whole awareness was in my breath. It was very much a transformative experience for my consciousness. It's something that I'm going to be elaborating on in future videos, because I think that sometimes easier than the intellectual ideas of changing our beliefs is getting to the core of where those patterns may come from. And if we learn how to breathe properly, we may get rid of, it's like going straight to the source versus trying to cure the symptoms. Let's get straight to the cause.
That's well put there. I often use the analogy of, say you want to cut down a tree, right? Well, in one way is you can cut off every branch and you leave the stump there. But one, that's a lot of work, and two, the tree often sprouts new branches. So new permutations of these beliefs that you have been trying to get rid of reemerge. So working with the breath is like going straight to the roots of the tree. If you're to cut the roots of the tree, the tree eventually is going to completely die, and that analogously
of the beliefs that we create.
And then you can plant that new tree of whatever whatever belief system that's going to serve you better.
Right on. I dig it. I think it's really cool stuff. I want to thank Christian for coming on. What's your website? I'm going to go ahead and link down your website in case any of you guys are interested in this. He's got great techniques. He's got great stuff over there. It's, what is it?
Breathflow.com.
Breathflow.com. I'm going to go ahead and link that below. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. And other than that, I will see you guys on the next video. Peace, much love, namaste.